Mark Jangizi here with your Science Moment. Today I'm going to talk about why debate, mano a mano, is not as important as people think it is to free expression. Now, when we talk about, sometimes we say, look, we've got social networks and we need the rife debate amongst the individuals to find our way towards the truth. And in that sense, debate just refers to lots of people in parallel making their cases and people potentially throwing rocks and arguing, but it happens in a distributed manner. It's not necessarily the case that there's a person side by side in front of an audience carrying out sort of an old-fashioned Lincoln-Douglas debate. Now, there's a couple points that I wanted to mention. One, in this regard, the old-style Lincoln-Douglas debate is in some cases important. I think mostly it's important when you're going to be a leader, like presidents of the United States. They need to be charismatic. They need to be good in front of an audience. They need to be, and when you are good in those circumstances, you're often good not necessarily at the substantive scientific arguments. You're good at knowing how to bluff and how to push in reputation chips and how to say, you don't know, sir, what you're talking about, or I knew, Kennedy, and Kennedy was a friend of mine, that kind of stuff. Actual side-by-side debate is very often not actually debate in the sense that we like to think it is. It's often throwing little bombs and throwing reputation, throwing sort of barbs that catches the other off guard and makes them look silly. It's these sorts of things which go on. Actual back and forth debates between people are important, but it's only important by virtue of thousands and hundreds of thousands of these debates going on at the same time, and that's how the truth is discovered. It's because of the distributed thousands of debates that are out there. So here's a case where you have a better intuition. You have a better intuition for this in the economy. Demand and supply curves over time evolve, and the prices of various kinds of things, of the millions of different things that you can buy, come to find their price. And how do they come to find their price? They do this by virtue of the interactions, sort of the pairwise negotiations of me wanting to buy this with somebody else, and we might struggle a little bit. We have, in some sense, a side-by-side Lincoln-Douglas negotiation in terms of how much this should cost. And it's by virtue of many of these things that we end up with supply and demand curves that determine the general average price of something. It's not by virtue of one big debate that happened for consumers of some type that want to buy Volkswagens of some type, and we hereby have debated that it should be exactly $23,000 or something like this. No, it's by virtue of distributed thousands or millions of, in some sense, little negotiations, which is nano negotiations, financial negotiations that lead to these macroscopic supply and demand curves. And the same thing is true and crucial for understanding how free expression works. It happens by virtue of debate in one sense, but really it's by virtue of millions of nano debates between individuals and side-by-side folks making their points and other people potentially making points against them. That's how free expression truly works. That's how free markets truly work. And it's through that decentralized, massive, ugly process that we find our way to prices that are efficient in the economic side and to truths over time on the free expression side. And that was your Science Moment.